The busy holiday weekend is filling up airports, a record number of people traveling for the holiday. After days of chaos, flights seem to be getting back on track.
We need to continue pushing to make sure that there's the smoothest possible experience for air passengers everywhere.
But why is it becoming so hard to fly and just get somewhere on time? Let's dig into it. After days of canceled flights, stranded travelers, airlines are getting back on track. A record-breaking holiday for travel put a strain on the industry, still working to bounce back after COVID-19. Well, today things were a bit easier, but come Wednesday, when everyone is trying to fly back after the holiday, airports are bracing for crowds and flyers are preparing for changes.
They never really added more flights, and people have increased their travel.
And so then if there's one little hiccup, everyone's stuck.
It's like a domino effect.
Once my connecting flight got canceled, I knew I was going to beg at every counter that I get to.
Flight delays happen, cancellations happen. I think it's all about the customer service and how they handle the situation.
People flying on United Airlines have run into the most issues this past week. Bad weather and the FAA reducing the number of flights leaving Newark Airport forced widespread cancellations and delays, especially for United Airlines because its largest hub is Newark Airport. Now, in a memo to employees, United's CEO wrote, airlines, including United, simply aren't designed to have their largest hub have its capacity severely limited for 4 straight days and still operate successfully. Federal officials say they are hiring more FAA workers to try and help, but airlines also need to look for ways to make sure that flights keep running.
We had a hard few days with severe weather at the beginning of the week, and that definitely put enormous pressure on the system. I think most passengers understand that no one can control the weather, but anything that's under the control of the airlines and anything that we can do on the FAA side, we need to continue pushing to make sure that there's the smoothest possible experience for air passengers everywhere.
All right, and to make matters worse, during all the chaos, United's CEO Scott Kirby jumped on a private plane to get back from New York to Colorado. Customers and crews who were stranded because of delays and cancellations were pretty frustrated by that move. Kirby apologized and admitted the move was insensitive. Now, this, of course, is not the first time that we've seen airline issues cause big delays around holiday travel. You'll remember back in December, Southwest system failures led to thousands of canceled flights and delays. Since then, the airline is changing its winter weather plans, upgrading technology that helps schedule crews and change the ways its departments communicate with one another. So what can you do to try and avoid flight issues? Well, here's what an expert says.
Be prepared for anything to go bad and be thrilled when everything goes perfectly. Take a nonstop flight if it's available and in your budget, and try to take the first available flight of the day. Those are generally less susceptible to delays.
Some other things going on with airlines right now. Some planes are getting swapped out as 5G towers go up in near airports. The 5G towers don't interfere with much, but it could cause problems with signals used to track a plane's altitude.
Those don't affect the navigation, but a 5G tower can, because it's sending a signal, not for the plane, but that signal can actually disrupt the readings you're going to get on the radio altimeter, which would give the pilot a false altitude reading.
Now, most major U.S. airlines have fully upgraded to new meters on planes that are not affected by these 5G signals. Delta Airlines, though, told CBS News that due to supply chain problems, 190 of its planes still need that upgrade, but that they should be done by the end of this month. In the meantime, those planes won't be used when bad weather may be a factor. JetBlue also says 17 of its planes haven't been upgraded, but they say delays will be minor. Yet another problem causing some headaches for travelers is passport applications. The State Department said it received an influx of applications in March for people looking to travel this summer. In fact, they get about 500,000 applications in 1 week, and those can stack up pretty quickly. The State Department said they are still short-staffed from cuts during the pandemic, and the process to issue millions of passports each year is delayed. On average, anyone applying in February and March is waiting up to 11 weeks for a passport instead of the typical 9 weeks. Now, going on vacation, it can be expensive, and this year airfare prices mean you may be paying more to get to your favorite place. But if you're willing to be flexible, you could save hundreds, if not thousands of dollars on a trip.
Chelsea Hampshaw was starting to think the summer travel surge to Europe meant she and her family of 6 would be priced out of their annual trip to London to see relatives.
So I was searching, we just weren't going to be able to go this year. Flights were so expensive and so sparse, and so as soon as this popped up, it was like, oh, I guess we can make this happen this year.
Have your passport ready?
But making it happen meant a 7-hour drive from South Carolina to Washington's Dulles Airport, flights on an airline you've probably never heard of, and arriving at an airport about 30 miles outside London. But it saved the family around $6 grand.
About $450 per person versus like to fly out of Charlotte was $2,000 per person, so pretty big difference.
North Atlantic Airways, a Norwegian low-cost carrier, just announced service from Washington in May. Its first flight to London Gatwick sold out.
There's still time to go to Europe.
North CEO Bjorn Larsen.
So we have 2 classes. We have a premium cabin, which gives you great comfort and where everything is included, by the way. And we have an economy cabin, which is a la carte. If you only need a seat, that's what you pay for.
Airfare to Europe is at a 6-year high, averaging about $1,200 a person. Hotels are up 37% over last year, even more in places like Rome and Madrid. While nearly 64% say high inflation is affecting their 4th of July plans, AAA still expects a record number of travelers, so finding a deal requires flexibility.
There are still deals to be found for summer travel, but you have to follow the deal, not the destination.
Haley Berg is the lead economist at airfare tracker Hopper.
You might have your heart set on a beach vacation in Europe, but you can go to the Caribbean for about a quarter of what you'll pay to fly to Ibiza or Mallorca this summer.
But Hopper says staying closer to home will get you the best deals from major U.S. airports. Las Vegas, Miami, and Denver can all be found for less than $100. Internationally, Montego Bay for under $300. While London may cost you over $1,000, Iceland and Dublin fares can be found for around $500.
Well, getting a good price on flights is usually one of the biggest ways to save on vacation. So you've probably heard the myth, right? Buy tickets on a Tuesday to save money. But is it true? Let's verify.
Our sources are Scott's Cheap Flights, a study by cheapair.com, and Brett Snyder, president of Cranky Concierge Travel Assistance and a former airline pricing analyst. Some studies suggest Tuesday or Saturdays are the cheapest days to buy tickets, but all of our sources say they usually rely on flawed or outdated data. For example, some articles suggest that weekends are the cheapest days to buy. Snyder points out that's based on data that tracks the average amount spent on a ticket each day of the week. Families tend to buy their tickets on weekends and usually purchase less expensive tickets. Meanwhile, business travelers tend to buy their tickets during the week, and many are less price sensitive.
A lot of the business travel, premium cabin or even last minute or whatever it might be, those tend to be higher fares.
The end result is a study that has skewed data. Similar articles suggest Tuesdays offer the best deals, but our sources say that's also not the case. Scott's Cheap Flights explains on its site that this idea is a holdover from the 1990s when airlines used to upload special e-fares on Tuesdays or Wednesdays. These days, Snyder says airlines use sophisticated algorithms to consistently adjust fares based on demand, regardless of what day of the week it is.
This hasn't existed for years. I couldn't tell you the last time when those actually were out there in the market.
So we can verify, no, there is not a certain day of the week that's cheapest to buy a plane ticket.
All right, so maybe you're flying somewhere and checking out a tour spot like, hey, why not? The Statue of Liberty, right? Or maybe you're staying home. Either way, have a great 4th of July tomorrow.